How's it going, Internet? I just came from finally seeing Pacific Rim. This is probably the movie I was looking forward to most this summer. Um, Granted, it hasn't been a big hype fest for me in terms of movies this summer. Grown Ups 2 had no desire to see that because I didn't see the first one, and honestly, I refuse to financially support Adam Sandler after he created the abomination to humanity that is That's My Boy. Yeah, I really hated that movie. Um, and Man of Steel, I've said it before, not a fan of Superman as a comic book character, as a superhero. I think he's really generic and just didn't like him. Um, let's see, what else came out this summer? Oh, The Internship. Yeah, no. But this, I was really looking forward to this, and I gotta tell you, it met all of my expectations. It is a great movie, hands down. Um, Sorry, I'm trying something new here. It's kind of putting my camera in a precarious position. Um, um, but yeah, Pacific Rim, great movie. Just a little bit of backstory. Basically, um, there's a portal to another dimension between two tectonic plates in a trench in the Pacific Ocean. And this portal is releasing these giant monsters called Kaiju. Now, if you're if you're into the old Godzilla movies and Mothra and all of that stuff like I am, you know that Kaiju means giant monster in Japanese. Um, and it actually says that in like a little ticker in the opening of the movie. Um, and I think that turns a lot of people off, this whole like giant monster movie. Um, but I personally I loved the old Godzilla movies. Um, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, um, made back in like '72, I think. Probably top 10, one of my favorite movies. Um, but trust me, you guys, it's not just a stupid monster movie. Um, these giant beasts are wreaking havoc on basically any city that is in the Pacific that is on the Pacific coast, from China to San Francisco to Sydney, and the governments of these countries end up having to come together to solve this kaiju crisis, if you will. And what they do is they make these giant robots known as Jaegers. Um, Jaeger meaning hunter in German. That's also in the little ticker at the beginning of the movie. Um, and for a while it works, and then it stops working because the kaiju are getting bigger and badder, and finally, as a kind of last-ditch effort, they take this hotshot, um, decommissioned pilot, played by Charlie Hunnam of Sons of Anarchy fame, and they bring him back to do one last assault on the portal, that is that is bringing about all these kaiju in the first place. Um, and you know the robots. I think these giant Gundam. Let's call them what they are. They're giant Gundam. Uh, are they're very well designed, as well as the monsters themselves. They're all very well designed. They're very nice to look at, and they make for some really amazing fight scenes. Um, Everything from underwater to in the middle of a city. It's really cool. And there's also, in the midst of one of these great fight scenes, is probably one of the most ridiculous, stupid side gags I've ever seen, and I couldn't help but laugh. Basically, Charlie Hunnam and his co-pilot, Mako Mori, played by Rinko, I don't remember her last name, apparently some prolific Japanese actress, I should say. Those two are fighting a kaiju in the middle of Hong Kong, and they end up crashing through an office building. Just boom, 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 and it gets to this empty cubicle with one of those Newton's pendulum things, and it stops right there, and it starts the pendulum, and it is the goofiest thing, and I couldn't help but laugh. And you think it being a giant monster movie, it wouldn't have as cohesive and as good a story as it does, but it really does. And the reason there are two pilots is because one pilot can't handle the neural load of piloting this gigantic robot. So it's split between two pilots, and they have to mind meld in order for them to work efficiently. And that is actually a great tool to deepen the characters, because they end up sharing each other's memories and feelings and such. And you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the characters through these little sequences where they're doing the neural handshake, is what it's called in the movie. This kind of mind meld. And I guess it makes for it's actually I didn't think it would be as big of a story device as it was, and it works really well. And the movie also does a really good job of not just being about fighting monsters. It actually, goes a little bit farther and kind of expands on how the world reacts. This does with giant monsters what World War Z should have done with zombies. It broadens the world that we would live in if this had happened, and puts little cultural elements in it. There are people who try to exploit the sorry, I just got a text. Who try to exploit the kaiju for their own personal reasons. The main one being Hannibal Chow, played by Ron Perlman, also of Sons of Anarchy and Hellboy fame. Hannibal Chow is a kaiju remains dealer. When a kaiju is killed, him and his team go in and they basically exhume the kaiju body and sell its body parts, its bones, its skin, its feces even, on the black market. And again, he makes for a really cool character. I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed Ron Perlman's acting in it. And he actually, again, also ends up playing a key role in the plot. I'm not going to give anything away because I want you to see this movie for yourself, but yeah. And there's also mention of of a religion based on these kaiju, a kaiju cult, if you will. And I think all of these things would happen if giant monsters crawled out of the ocean and started attacking cities. The movie as a whole just works really, really well. It is very well paced. It's been a while since I was that deeply engrossed in a film from beginning to end. It constantly had my attention. Even between fight scenes, it still had, it still kept my focus really, really well. The only gripe I have about this movie is the ending. The ending is a bit anticlimactic. It does kind of taper off, and I don't think the final climactic fight scene that you would expect doesn't quite pay off. That is my only complaint. Other than that, it is a fantastic movie. I give it a 4 out of 5, just because that fight scene could have, that final fight, I think could have been a little bit longer, a little bit better, a little bit more gripping. But besides that, it was an excellent movie. I do recommend seeing it in IMAX 3D as opposed to just regular. That's what I saw it, and the 3D is beautiful. It brings you, it sucks you in that much more. But yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say. Again, 4 out of 5. But yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say. I'm going to the Grizzly Rose tonight, so I guess I gotta get some cowboy gear ready. Bust out the flannels and baseball caps, I suppose. But yeah, catch you on the flip side, Internet.